Hello, welcome to my video. So I'm using my microphone today because I'm outside and when I did the test, you couldn't hear the wind. So I'm hoping that you still cannot hear the wind. I won't find out till I'm done recording. Got a little ASMR for you here. I have a Olay mocktail. So I love margaritas and especially this brand. And this is a mocktail brand, and the ingredients are amazing. Agave syrup, lime juice, sea salt. Ugh, so good. So let's see if this microphone works like an ASMR. Right. You can't let's see. Can you see it? All right, ready? Oh yeah. Now you're really here. Now you're in the vibes with me. mm, so good. It's finally warm here. So, today's video, I wanted to talk about the stages of a spiritual awakening or the stages of a spiritual journey. Now, when I say spiritual, all humans are spiritual. Okay, so even if you are not necessarily identifying with being on a spiritual journey per se, if you are a human who has a dream in their heart, wants to achieve that dream, and maybe it's a dream that not everyone goes after. Maybe you're stepping off the beaten path. Maybe you're pursuing something that nobody else in your family has ever pursued. This can all be the same thing as a spiritual awakening. You might not refer to it in these exact terms, but these stages happen for everybody. Okay, there are no cheat codes. There, my dog and my cat are having a fight under the table right now. My cat, who is not supposed to be outside, but she is. So there are no cheat codes. You can't pass over a specific stage of the journey. You can't jump one, skip one, move past one. And why I thought it would be a really good video to make, to post, is because one of the things that I believe I bring to the table, one of the okay, sorry about that. We just had to pause the recording for a second to take care of the dog and the cat situation. So, one of the things that I believe I am specifically good at, one of my gifts, one of the things that I love doing with clients and that I've helped clients move through many, many times is getting through the shit, getting through the tough parts, the parts where most people turn around, go back, think they're doing something wrong. Maybe they go on antidepressants or they take up smoking weed or whatever it may be. This is a specific stage of the spiritual journey, and it happens more than once. And so, the reason why I want to share these stages with you is so that you can maybe understand where you're at in the journey or understand when you get to those tough spots instead of sinking into them and becoming really depressed or wanting to give up or feeling like you're doing something wrong. You can actually transcend those frequencies and you can feel through all the shit, yes, but have this higher perspective of what is going on. Now, I've also seen similar stages played out in people like the hero's journey. I can't remember who does that one, but it's that wheel where the hero goes around the wheel. So there isn't exactly one. This isn't my method per se, but I have been through the stages. And so I can say with confidence that yes, these stages all happen. And I can also say that with my clients, yes, these stages all happen. And when they stick it out, when they are held and supported through the process, they come out on the other side and things are better than they could have ever possibly imagined. So let's get into it. Stage one, waking up also known as the call to adventure. So, this is usually when something happens in your life where you can no longer go back to the way that things were before. So, maybe you go through a really bad breakup. Maybe you go through a really bad accident. Maybe you get fired from your job. Maybe you are just shared some kind of information and suddenly everything that you believed no longer makes sense. Everybody has this point in their journey when something sort of clicks and they can no longer be the same person that they were before. The world looks different. They see, the lies, they see how they were operating, they see what has been going on. And so, for me specifically, my very first waking up moment, call to adventure, I would say it sort of happened in phases. I had multiple little things that started to shift me that woke me up, but what I remember specifically was this big breakup that I went through when I was around 20, 21, somewhere in there. I can't remember the exact age. It was 2016. And I had been told before we broken up, I had learned about this phrase empath, and I had never heard that before in my life. I had also been experimenting with different party drugs and things of that nature. So I was experiencing oneness in a completely different way. I was experiencing human connection. I was feeling things in my body. I also had an experience with acid where I actually saw my soul above me, and there was this voice that said, "You are not Jillian, but you are being Jillian in this lifetime." And at the time, I thought it was ridiculous. I thought it was crazy. I was like, "There is no way that that is real." Um, and then I went through this incredibly challenging breakup. I I broke my hand, so I couldn't work. I had no money. I was in this expensive apartment that I had kicked my boyfriend out of. So I was getting deeper and deeper into debt. And I had to move to this really shitty basement apartment. And I was really depressed. I didn't know that I was depressed because I didn't know anything about depression. I didn't know I was depressed. I was really anxious because was very sensitive and I was always aware of other people's emotions and feelings and what was going on. But once again, didn't know that this was happening. And I did a couple solo mushroom trips and I learned some things that way. I also learned, okay, these feel a little different for me than it seems like they feel for the other people. Like the other people are going, laughing, having conversations, and I'm like talking to like six different things in my head. Like there's all these different voices. And then I tried meditating. And the very first meditation that I did was a chakra meditation. And I worked my way up through the chakras and I had this insane activation experience just from meditating. And I remember being like, holy crap, I can access this feeling sober. What? And I was a happiness chaser. I always wanted to feel happy. That was part of the reason why I had addiction issues in the first place, was because I was avoiding all of the shitty feelings, avoiding my bank account, avoiding how broken I was, how scrambled my intuition was from this incredibly psychologically abusive relationship that I had left. And I was like, when I found the meditating, I was like, okay, I want more of this. So that was my waking up experience. Now, other people have different experiences with this. Some people, like athletes, will be headed one direction to college and then they'll like blow out a knee or something. And like it seems like their whole world has ended. People will lose loved ones, um, people who are really important to them, really close to them. And once again, the whole world has changed. Nothing is the same anymore. People will have these jobs that they're going towards, that they're pursuing, and then get fired out of nowhere. And all of a sudden, what the heck? Like, this path that I saw for my life is no longer my path. Like, what the heck? Also, in more recent years, with all the stuff we're seeing on the news or the information that's coming out, people are having these sort of waking up moments. People who religiously followed the news, people who religiously worshiped celebrities, these kind of things, they're suddenly seeing these other sides and they're like, what the heck? Like, I thought it was one way and it is very obviously something else completely. So, though, that is the waking up moment. And when this happens, usually you start to get curious about things, you start to try new things, you maybe like you take a different path, you try a different class, you start to explore, you start to experiment. Then comes the second phase, which is the dark night of the soul. And this is when everything sucks. You're like, "Oh my gosh, my old life is gone. I don't see this new life. I no longer relate with my friends. I can't make small talk with them anymore because we have different interests. Like, I see things totally different now and they see things a totally other way. What is going on?" Now, this phase, once again, happens for everyone. A lot of times people will wake up, they're curious about spirituality, or they have this moment, and then the dark night of the soul happens. The depression happens. The burnout happens. The the big feelings come up. This bleakness comes over life. Like, who am I? What am I doing? What am I going to do if this is the way I thought it was and it's not this way? What is going to happen? This can happen at different phases in your spiritual journey, I will say. So, this whole stage 1 to 7 that we're going to go through today, you can go through this phase multiple times. So, you might have already had a dark night of the soul, you've moved through, and then you have this another waking up moment, or a rebirth moment, as some people call it. And we'll get through all the phases. So even if you're not at the very beginning of your journey, you'll notice as we go that you might be able to touch on different points, and you're like, well, I've already made it here. Why am I back in this dark night of the soul moment? And it's because, once again, you've essentially woken up a new part of you, birthed a new part of you. And so with that comes this dark night of the soul. Now, some people in this day and age are also experiencing burnout. They don't maybe have necessarily a huge waking up moment. They might experience chronic illness or chronic fatigue or other types of things that cause them to stop what they are doing. And then they go into this dark night of the soul, this bleak, I don't want to wake up. I have no purpose. I have no direction. All I want to do is sleep all day. This is a normal part, and this happens for everyone. This isn't something that you can avoid or escape. And the longer you try to avoid or escape it, the longer it lasts. So the more that you know about this, listen to this video, surrender to this process, the easier it is to move through it. And actually, the faster that you can move through it, paradoxically. And I love this part because people always get kind of stuck on it. They're like, "Well, I'm surrendering. I'm surrendering. Why is it still happening?" And it's like, "Okay, well, if you're surrendering with that energy, you're not really surrendering. You're like surrendering for a call. You're like, if I surrender fast enough, good enough, if I'm a good enough at surrendering, I'll move through this." And that is not how it works. You have to truly just surrender, nap, rest. You're going to be taken care of. You might not know it yet, but that's why you're going through this phase. You have to go through this phase so that you can embody the knowing that you are always taken care of and that everything's going to work out. You have to experience one side of it in order to appreciate the other side of it. It's just the way it works. I don't make the rules, okay? Once we've sort of moved in through this dark night of the soul, and we're we're kind of coming back to life, and where we've maybe like we've gotten curious again. We've maybe had a couple cool things happen. Maybe we found a couple modalities we like. We go through this sponge phase, sponge stage. And this is where everything, like all the modalities are happening. You're excited about everything. You're learning everything that you can get your hands on. You are exploring, you are trying new things, you are trying all, like the breath work, the meditation, the you're taking this course, you're taking that course. You're just picking up all these tools. You don't have to slow that down. You can do that. Pick up all the tools that you feel called to pick up. Now, I'm trying to think of this as someone who maybe wouldn't fully resonate with like the spiritual journey, what this sponge stage could look like. And maybe it's just picking up steam again after this period of the dark night of the soul. You kind of like accepted it, surrendered to it, and now you're in this kind of rapid expansion period. So you might feel like everything's moving really fast. You might be meeting new people, new connections, like lots going on. As you go through these phases more than once, you'll learn how to have balance in this phase. But in the first time you experience, it might be like this rapid, okay, I'm picking up all these things, I'm learning all these things. Now, this can also be the time when you develop a bit of a spiritual ego. So, this is when people have woken up, gone through the dark night, learn or starting to learn all the things, and they think they know everything. They are somehow now above the regular humans. They are better than the regular humans. They don't eat meat because meat is low vibrational. They don't drink because drinking is low vibrational. They have this 8-step morning routine, and if you don't do that, you're not spiritual. They're very like, I know better than you because I have done all this healing, and so I know better. Now, this happens to everyone. So if you resonate with this, don't shame yourself. Don't be hard on yourself. Just recognize we are all different humans going through our own journeys, and we all have our own unique journeys. And you are not above anyone else. And everybody has a purpose for what they're going through. And you will find when you kind of make it to the other side, you'll be looking at the people who are thinking that, and you'll be not laughing because then there's your ego again, right? But you'll just be like, I see you. I know you. It's okay. I relate to this part of my journey when I was there was I went through all different sorts of things. And given there were times when I needed these practices. So for example, I didn't drink for a couple of years. That needed to happen. I developed a new relationship with alcohol after that. But did I think people who drank were more low vibrational? Maybe. I was a vegan. I didn't eat meat. I didn't understand how people could eat meat. And I would go visit my spiritual teacher, and she was drinking, smoking weed, eating meat and cheese. And every time I was like, how does she do this? How can she do all this stuff and still be so spiritual? I don't understand because, like, I can't. Like, I need to eat the cleanest food, the most organic food, the red light, the friggin' all the things, all the practices because I'm so spiritual. And then I kind of made it through and I realized, oh, yeah, right. When you are a spiritual human, you just get to be you. So you get to choose what's right for you. If drinking is right for you, great. If it's not, great. If eating meat is right for you, great. If it's not, great. If a 7-step practice in the morning is right for you, great. If waking up and smoking a cigarette and drinking a coffee is right for you, great. Because that is something you learn throughout the journey. But absolutely, we all go through these spiritual ego phases, and the spiritual ego can be sneaky. So anytime you notice yourself judging someone or comparing your journey to their journey or feeling like you are somehow more awakened than them or you know better, there could be a little sneaky sign that there is a little sneaky spiritual ego coming in trying to make itself feel good. And that's okay. Um you can also kind of dabble with the spiritual burnout at this phase. So once you've picked up all the tools, done all the things, learned all the things, and you've gone through this rapid expansion. If you're not pacing yourself through this and you're not still taking time for rest and you're not using your discernment and listening to your body, which are things you learn along the way, you absolutely can hit burnout. And it happens. It happens to everyone. And so when this happens, we start to enter stage 4, which is inner denial and conflict. So this is when people can want to go back to their normal life. It's a time when we need to sit and deeply reflect. There can be a lot of self-doubt, a lot of like, oh my gosh, why did I get into this? I can't do this. What am I doing here? I just want to go back. Also, this can be a phase where we are spiritual bypassing. So our life doesn't look the way that we think it should look because, we haven't done all the steps yet. And so we are telling ourselves that we're okay with the way it is and like everything's going to work out and oh it's fine and making excuses for ourselves. An example of spiritual bypassing for me is when I was in my last relationship, which was like almost exactly 3 years ago actually. And when we started dating, it was all great. And he promised me all these things. We were going to have a house, we were going to have a family. I looked like on paper, he looked great. And I was telling myself, like, oh, if I just heal myself enough, then he will heal too. If I just fix myself enough, then he will fix. And like, it's all fine. It's all good. This is just part of the process. And I was using these spiritual tools and this spiritual knowledge and this spiritual lingo to sort of trap myself in these places that actually weren't serving my highest good. So this can happen to everyone as well. And this is a very normal part of the journey because when you're waking up, your upper chakras are blasting open. You have all this information available to you. And like I go back and look at old posts I made, and every single thing that I talked about in those posts was absolutely correct. The difference was I wasn't necessarily applying them all to my life. So I knew all these facts, I knew all these things, but I wasn't actually sitting in my life being like, is this the life I want? What emotions am I not looking at? What am I not seeing clearly? What do I want to change? What parts of me am I like maybe avoiding because it just seems uncomfortable or icky to go there? And I'm just going to tell myself that it's all good. And this is where we enter stage 5. Stage 5 is the deep inner work. So this is the phase where we do our shadow work. We do our inner child work. We do the deprogramming. We do the deconditioning. We sit in the muck, and we feel it all. We feel the mother wound. We feel the father wound. We're super honest with ourselves. What's working in our lives? What's not working in our lives? What part do we play in this? What beliefs do we have that are affecting the reality that we're living in? What have we been conditioned to believe? What did our ancestors pass to us? What did our parents pass to us? What were we born into in a society? The deep inner work of getting to know yourself. And I did inner work throughout my journey. Like I would say I went through all these stages multiple times, but the last time that I started going through that work, it was different. And this this phase, I mean, we all know parts of this phase. If you're on the journey, like you've been doing inner work here and there. There's probably some places maybe that you're not doing because you don't really want to, because like you can just do without that part and it's all good over here. That's the work that if you come to me and we work together, we're going to be doing all that work. And I'm going to be holding you through it and supporting you through it and creating that safety in your body because ultimately that's what we need. But, yes, this is where we've made it through the dark night of the soul. We made it through the sponge phase. We've made it through the wanting to go back, and we know now that we can't go back. And we're like, okay, we can't go back. It's time to do the work. And once we've done all of this inner work, we enter a phase called stage 6, which is the integration phase. Now, this is where people can believe that they are fully enlightened. Your old self starts dying off. You start letting go of what no longer serves you. Your your ego is in the process of being dissolved. You are in the process of actually living from your heart center and operating from your soul self. Your ego is going to be grabbing on for dear life. So, your ego, because ultimately your ego is just trying to protect you, but your ego is going to be trying to protect you in every way it can. So, if you've been doing the inner work and if you have practices that you can apply to things as they come up, then you're going to be able to integrate things quite easily. I went through a really deep period of integration in 2024 when I actually created my program because, I'd been through all these other stages, I had all these tools, I'd done a lot of inner work, and then I began to integrate that inner work more deeply. So as I was creating the program, I was actually having anything that was left was coming up to be witnessed and released and dissolved. And so you will feel your old identities dying. You will feel your old self dying. It's really a process of learning how to surrender because your ego is still going to be trying to control. And when we learn how to connect with our soul and our higher self, we understand that we are not in control. So, this is where learning how to surrender really happens for the first time because up until, this point, your ego is still quite involved. And then there comes this point where your ego takes the back seat and your soul takes the front seat and your heart takes the front seat. And you realize that you can't control the outcome. All you can do is be in alignment with your authentic self, listen to your body, deal with things as they come up, release things as they come up. And so this is the period of integration, taking everything we've learned, surrendering to the process, letting things come up as they need to, and feeling that ego dissolving. Feeling your old self dying, feeling that part of you that was resonating with trying to control things and thinking it knows the best and hanging on to whatever beliefs starts to go. You also start to get access to downloads to your cosmic consciousness. Now, this phase happens multiple times. So, like I mentioned, I've been through these phases multiple times. You're going to go back to Dark Night of the Soul, spiritual sponge stage. You're going to go through these processes multiple times up until stage 6 over and over again until essentially you have cleared everything out. When that happens, you enter stage 7, which is transcendence. This is unity consciousness. This is the point that everyone is trying to get to. This is where your life is no longer run by control, no longer run by your ego. You are completely surrendered to the flow, to whatever comes to you, comes to you, whatever leaves you, leaves you. You are in service to others. That is your main reason for being. You enjoy being of service to others. You are detached from outcomes, but you are more connected within and you can see that vision for your future and you are moving towards that vision than you ever have been before. This is the point that everyone is trying to get to. This is, unity consciousness, your inflow with your soul, connected to unconditional love, trusting the process completely. When things come up, you're the witness now, you're moving through things, you're letting them go, you're flowing through life. when you reach this stage, you are, for the most part, functioning from the frequency of love, the frequency of peace, the frequency of bliss, and it keeps expanding, expanding, expanding as you go. There is no limit to the amount of your higher self that you can achieve, that you can feel, that you can become. But up until this point, you are going to continue going through those other stages until you have cleared out all that you are not. Any parts of you that are still trying to control, any parts of you that are still believing you're limited, any parts of you that aren't abundant, any parts of you that are operating from somebody else's point of view, any old emotions from your ancestors, from your past lives, karma, like all of that stuff is coming up to be released. And you're moving through these phases ultimately to get to transcendence. It is a place you can get. People say, oh, well, you're always healing. And that is not exactly true. I've had a lot of these conversations lately with people where, like, a lot of I would say fairly enlightened people, they're like, I don't like the phrase healing. And, if you think you're healing, then you're always healing. And I just think, it's better to not be on a healing journey. And I honestly don't agree with that perspective because, to be fair, there is a part of your life where you are healing. Yes, you are releasing. Yes, you are remembering. Yes, you are coming in contact with your soul, but you are also healing. However, there also comes a point where the healing is done. The healing is complete. You are no longer healing. You are living, you are operating, you are living as who you really are. You are dealing with things as they come up and releasing them as they need to. And yes, you are no longer healing. But I do believe there is a part of your journey where you are healing. So that's my own personal take on that. I respect the people who don't believe that. That's fine. But, there is a part of the journey where we are healing, where we are letting go of our not self parts until we can come into contact with that part of us that is always there and has always been there and has always been guiding the way. So, in that sense, yes, you are always completely fully healed, but at the same time, your soul is guiding you along the path to give you what you need so that you can come to that realization. I could tell you all day long, oh, you're completely healed. Oh, your soul is within you. Oh, you're just remembering. But if you don't actually believe that and that's not actually embodied, that's not going to help you. We want you to get to the place where that is your truth. That is your reality. You believe it, you live it, you know it, you're safe in your body. You fully believe that you are on your path. Your soul is helping you, your guides are helping you, everything you need is coming to you. You always have what you need. Until you actually fully believe that within your body, you are still at a point of healing so that you can get to that place. And that place is wonderful and magnificent and beautiful. And life is so much easier. And even when things are hard, it doesn't really matter because it's part of the journey. So you're not like attached to outcomes or attached to emotions anymore. You still have emotions, you still feel emotions, but they're not controlling you and they're not taking over your life and you're not dropping into these deep places of depression. It's a beautiful place. And so, yeah, those are the 7 stages of the spiritual awakening or of the hero's journey, if that's what you want to call it. And the reason why I wanted to share this video is because if you're in any one of these phases, I want people to know there is a place you can get to where you're not healing anymore, where you are connected to your soul. It is possible. It is why we're on this journey. And yet, you're not going to get there before you're supposed to get there. And also, you don't have to do it all by yourself. A lot of people hear this kind of information and they're like, oh, great, like my soul's supporting me. I can do it all on my own. And like, no, you can try. But also, your soul is going to guide you to the people who can help you to achieve these things that you're looking for. So like, yes and no. Yes, you can do it all on your own. You are doing it all on your own ultimately. But your soul is going to guide you to helpful people, to people who can help you to realize, to understand, to embody, to become. And your soul is also going to take you away from people who are no longer serving you, jobs that are no longer serving you, relationships that are no longer serving you. Yes, your soul is leading the way. And if you're watching this video, you have probably woken up. You've probably broken out of the entirely 3D mind, as we could say. And you are probably somewhere in 4D, which is anywhere in the middle. of those stages. And you're headed for 5D or transcendence or unity consciousness, and it is available to you. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know in the comments where you're at. If you could use any support on your journey, I teach a program that walks through all of the chakras. So we're going to be moving through all of the different places where there might be blocks or stuck stuff or limiting beliefs or whatever else. We do all of this work through the lens of feminine energy healing and embodiment. My program specifically works with women. So my goal, my dream is for all women to have everything that they desire, all the success, all the money, all the love, the families, all the things that they deeply desire, that all their dreams that live within them. I want them to realize those dreams, to become those dreams, to embody those dreams, to get what they want, not out of pushing, not out of overdoing it, overthinking, not out of grinding, not out of hustling, not out of produce, but actually out of their pleasure, their joy, because that is what your soul wants. Your soul wants you to have fun. Your soul wants you to experience joy. Your soul wants you to be in your pleasure. That is where you are creating from your best self. That is the nature of creativity. And that is where all the good things are coming from. So that is my program, and then we also connect to the higher chakras and the higher realms too. So like ultimately, I would like you to get to a place where you achieve this transcendence frequency, where you experience the oneness, you experience your soul, you know that you are becoming your dreams even as you are already your dreams in this present moment. And it's from an embodied place. It's from that trusting, safe place. Now, I do also want to add in here that I am taking on one new client for one-on-one coaching. And this is special, this is new, because it's also open to men. So if you are a man listening to this and you want to work with me, and when I work with men, it is to help them to balance their masculine and feminine energy, essentially. So it's the same thing. We're going to be going through all of the same processes, but allowing you to have that balance with your heart. Because a lot of men, are push in the masculine, or they don't have a healthy relationship with their feminine, and that is actually limiting them as well. And I've heard from men that I have worked with in the Akashic readings, and also just from other men in my communities, that working with a woman can be extremely powerful. So I wanted to open an opportunity for men who are on the path doing the work and are ready for that next level expansion and ready to like live from that hard place and love themselves and achieve their dreams as well. So yeah, so if you're a man listening, that's your option. If you're a woman listening, you could also have that option if you wanted one-on-one coaching with me strictly. But if the program sounds enticing, I am running a free event in June, and I will also be opening the doors to my program again in June. So yeah, I have an amazing community of women who are all doing this stuff and are all a part of this work. And yeah, I'd love to have you be a part of it if this is something that sounds like your little prickers are pricking up. If your little intuition is going, oh no, maybe that's me, then maybe it is. So yeah, I enjoyed this video. I really hope this microphone sounds as good as it feels to hold. Thank you so much for tuning in. Let me know if you have any questions, if you have anything you want me to talk about. If maybe let me know where you're at on the journey, and you can always reach out to me for Akashic record work, healings, clearings, readings, and to get signed up for my free event or to join my program or my coaching container. So we will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for being here, and have a great rest of your day.